In the first episode of the Schusterick Effect, we tested out and reviewed this ultra soft A5 in the 400 glow plastic. This disc absolutely blew my mind, so it's got my hopes really high for this Prodigy disc and other Prodigy discs going forward. Today, in episode 2 of the Schusterick Effect, we're going to be checking out the ultra soft M4. The M4 is one of my favorite molds that Prodigy has ever produced. We're out here at a little bit shorter course today. It's going to be a really great opportunity to see how this thing is flying. Hopefully we can test it on some hyzer flips, some flat turnovers, and some other really fun lines. But anyway, let's get to it. And we're at the beautiful Palm Springs Park in Naples, Florida. It's a little chilly today. It's right around 70 degrees. You know, it's a cool winter day here in Naples, Florida. We're going to suffer through these elements today. I'm going to do my best to throw some good shots for you guys today. But let's see, first shot of the day. I've thrown this thing a handful of times, but I'm going to try to enter today's review and today's round with a complete open mind. Let's see how this guy's flying today. We're just going to trust it nice and flat, see what it's wanting to do today. Ooh, okay. Does it fade a little bit? That thing wanted to stay in the air forever. It had a nice -1 turn in the mid-flight, and it actually did find its way to a nice little fade back to the left at the end. That is a very promising flight to start things off. Oh. Hole 2's basket is not looking quite so regulation these days, but we're gonna play it as if it's the normal basket. If you're wondering how soft the 400 Ultra Soft is, I would say it's not quite as soft as the Latitude 64 Frost plastic. That Frost plastic is even more bendy than this. I would say this is not as soft as the Frost, but more soft than Neutron Soft. I'd find it to be right in between Neutron Soft and then Latitude 64 Frost plastic. I feel like that's kind of the perfect stiffness to describe this with. But as you can see, it bends easily, but it doesn't feel floppy in the hand. So it's got the firmness to hold its shape in your hand, but it's definitely quite bendy and you can really sink your fingers into this plastic. We're going to be throwing into a pretty stiff headwind here into that circus basket. It's like a stiff head right to left. We're going to pump it nice and hard and see if it can hold its line here. Flipping up to absolute dead straight. I thought that was actually going to get quite a bit more turn. We're going to have a tough putt on the circus basket, but let's see if we can't knock that one down. Did I do it? Oh, it's such, like, messes with your depth perception when it's leaning away from you like that. That's such a weird putt to line up. All right, we have one more circus basket here, and that looks like the rest of the baskets are in their normal expected condition. Let's see if we can just throw a nice straight shot right at the circus basket. It's probably like 200 feet away at the moment. Easy putt though. We knocked those down all day long. All right, they took a few trees out from the last time I was here on the right side, but they did add a tractor to the middle of the fairway. We're not playing this close basket on the left. We're playing one with the flat, like swaying tassels out in the distance. This is actually gonna be a pump with the M4, so I can pretty much throw this thing full power on this line. So on a hyzer, that did not want to flip up at all. That actually, a little more stable than I was expecting. And I actually own an M4 from Gannon Burr's collection, which also had this like slightly domier profile. I have some M4s in my collection that are like pretty much more like this, but the M4 that I actually got from Gannon that came, you know, one of the throwers that he was throwing on tour when he was with Prodigy, it definitely had a very similar side profile to this. These little bit domier M4s tend to be a little bit more stable, but so far it seems very true to the flight numbers. It stabled out and went left a little earlier than expected, but we have a pretty stiff tailwind coming through, so I would attribute that extra fade to the tailwind. All right, this is gonna be the sketchiest hole in the course. If you hit any of these trees, you almost always kick into the swamp on the left, disc gone forever. And then we also have a forest / jungle off to the right. We just need this M4 to hold hyzer. We're throwing it OB over the fence and then hoping it fades back left towards the basket at the end. Hit the line perfectly. I think I actually drove it a little long of the basket. I'm really happy with that shot. Even in these windy conditions, that thing really wanted to fade back to the left at the end. Hole 6, 239, par 3. Just gonna try a nice little tasty hyzer flip. straight at the basket. You can see the tassels. We have a pretty substantial left to right going on up there. See if we can get this thing to just flip up right at the pin. On a lot of hyzer, it doesn't really want to flip up all the way. I believe that's on circle's edge. This M4, it doesn't really change angles out of the hand. It kind of flies similar to the Buzz SS in a way that if I put the Buzz SS on hyzer, it's going to stay on hyzer. But if I kind of force the issue and put it on a left to right moving shot, it's going to hold that left to right moving shot as well. A very point and shoot disc, definitely a tick more stable than most M4s that I've thrown. I've just got a couple holes to go. We've got a nice little 260-foot par 3. I feel like I'm really starting to get this thing dialed in. I think I pretty much just throw it flat right at the basket. Then we should get a little swing back to the left at the end. There it is. Yeah, that's a nice stable M4. Couldn't have thrown it much better than that. Cool. Easy tap-in birdie on the last hole of the day. So my final thoughts on the 400 Ultra Soft M4, probably a little bit too soft for my liking. I really liked the A5, the approach disc in this plastic. That soft plastic has a purpose. When you're gonna land near the basket, it's gonna land nice and soft. I really don't feel like I need that feature on anything faster than like a 3 or a 4 speed. Anything faster than that, I prefer something much more stiff. Definitely this like super bendy stuff doesn't really do it for me when it comes to, again, anything beyond an approach disc, because it makes sense to me mentally to have a super soft approach disc. You land next to the basket, it's not gonna bounce or roll or skip, it's just gonna stop. When it comes to my longer flying discs, that's just not really something that is super important to me. And I also think that a little bit more stiff blend feels better in my hands personally. As far as the flight goes, definitely on the more stable side of M4s. Any M4 with a little bit of dome tends to be on the more stable side. This is a nice domey M4. This is the type of side profile that Gannon Buhr was throwing the M4. The one I got from his collection has a very similar side profile to this one. Maybe his was even a hair more domey, but feels very similar dome-wise to the M4 that I got from Gannon Buhr. But as you could see, especially when thrown into anything but a headwind, this thing was pretty darn stable. If I threw it on quite a bit of hyzer, like my normal M4s would still flip up and turn a little bit, but not this guy. It would just hold the hyzer all the way to the ground, which is pretty cool. But then when thrown into the tailwind, I feel like I could actually throw like a flex line with it. Flew very similar to a Buzz for me, which was really cool. Haven't thrown many M4s that are this stable. So that being said, I feel like it's a nice stable run of M4 to complement your flippier runs of M4 if you already have one in the bag. If you want to check one out, you can get one over at Disc Golf Deals USA. Probably not going to go into my bag. Too soft for me. I don't like floppy mid-ranges like this, but that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear yours in the comment section down below. But no flashing, no immediately noticeable defects in the disc. So production quality, top notch. Good job, Prodigy. Anytime they can come out with a disc that has no manufacturing defects, no chalk, no flashing, that's going to be 2 thumbs up for me. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay humble, live with gratitude. See ya.